Welcome to the Squared Circle Gridiron Podcast. And guess what, boys?
What's up?
I hope you're prepared for what we're about to go through. The Taylor Swift Super Bowl is real and it's going to happen. Welcome to Squared Circle Gridiron. I am Don Wayne, joined to my right by Ricky, and below us, Ron.
Yeah. I can't believe we used that. I can't believe we used that as our theme song. We got to come up with a better theme song. I got so many we could come up with.
Look,
I literally threw up in my mouth a little bit.
This is your worst nightmare come to life, Ricky. It's your worst friggin' nightmare.
Hey, I'll tell you, it's the NFL's best dream. They couldn't ask for anything better.
No, their best dream would have to have gotten Eminem alongside Taylor Swift.
Oh, big time.
That's their best dream.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Then you've got two iconic stars at your Super Bowl for the opposing teams with completely different personalities.
Well, you're definitely not wrong. I will say this, even though he's not Eminem, Usher's not too bad.
He's not too bad, but I mean, that's, 10 years ago, but they're still current. That's my thing. So
Yeah, and there's history between Eminem and Taylor Swift too.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot to news to get to, including the games this past weekend and what happened. But I just want to say, Detroit, you let everybody down, man. We'll get into the games, but that's just the overall feeling that I have about this is Detroit just let everybody down. And Baltimore, you got to quit going in the bargain's bin basement when it comes time to get some playmakers, pal. It's just what you're doing ain't working for Lamar. We're going to get to that in a second. I want to get into coaching news. Did you guys see what Johnson told the Washington Commanders and the Seattle Seahawks? Ron, I know this is big news for you because you had to be a little concerned that he was going to show up into Seattle because he's a hot commodity right now in the coaching scheme, man. He's really hot.
Yeah, I was happy when I saw that come across that he said, I am not coaching. I'm going to stay as the OC for Detroit. Now, that's the first time I heard that he was linked to Seattle because all if I heard from Seattle was defense coordinators. So
Dan Quinn was a name I kept seeing.
Yeah, he's going to he'll probably end up being the one there because Morris is gone now, and I don't know who else they've been interviewing. So, yeah.
Look,
Ricky, you got to be happy too, though, right? Because this keeps him out of your NFC East.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just think from a personal point of view for him, I think that's look, and we talk about this all the time. Just because you are an OC or a DC and then you become a hot commodity, it doesn't always mean when you go to coach, now all of a sudden it's going to be like, I think for him in this particular circumstance, that's the right move staying in with the Lions. Yeah. You got a good team. You got an offense built. You got a team around you. You got a great culture that came out of nowhere. Don, you touched on it, and I was just going to say, did the Lions let people down? You know what? Look, they lost the game, and we could get into that later.
Oh, we're going to get into it. We're going to get into it.
But I don't think the Lions let anyone down, and I think for this guy Johnson, that's the right move staying with the Lions. You guys are building something there. I don't think it's going to go away next year. I don't think it's a one-year wonder. This team has pieces, and I think it's the right move for him.
Can I tell you why this move with Johnson staying in Detroit has me a little bit concerned just as a fan of football?
Yeah, why?
Yeah.
Jared Goff is not guaranteed to come back and play at the level he played at this year. He played so far above what he's ever done in his career. And I give a lot of that credit to the offensive coordinator, right? I give a lot of that credit. But this isn't going to be the same team next year. They might be better, but I have serious concerns when you're the offensive coordinator. You're the hottest offensive coordinator in the league right now, either him or Slokik from the Texans. Those are the two guys, right? Those are the guys that I felt like were the hottest names from the season. I get why Texans guy, Slokik is his name, right? I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
I get why he didn't get the job because he's sort of a 1 year, prove it again next year, but he's still a hot name. I don't know if you're Johnson, if you pass this up. This is a head coaching opportunity with the Commanders who have a new GM, new front office, new ownership, They are doing things differently. The only reason I can think that he didn't take it is he didn't feel comfortable with an unknown commodity in the ownership in Washington and an
Yeah.
unknown front agent group in the front of that building. What I don't get is maybe he looked at Seattle and said, I don't want to start off my career with Geno Smith or, a bunch of, I mean, seriously, like that's a big, that's a lot to ask from a guy to make Geno Smith look like, let's just say it, Goff played out of his mind this year. So those are why I have some serious concerns about him not taking the job.
Did you hear they're going to extend Goff?
I have not heard that. Who said
Yeah.
that? Where'd that come from?
I read that last week.
I didn't see where that came from. I didn't know he was at near the end of his contract. I don't know that I would go that far. I'd have to see at least one more year. Thanks again for watching the show, everybody. Good afternoon. Good evening. Like and subscribe. We appreciate it. Always glad to have people back. Michael says it's time for the Niners to win. Casey's had enough time. Well, look, we're going to get into that in just a minute, but there's some other coaching news that came out today. Did you guys see this? The Steelers.
Oh, yeah. Arthur Smith.
Mike Tomlin hired Arthur. I almost said Arthur. But, dude, go ahead, Ron. I want to hear what you have to say because you already, I can tell you got something.
No, this is because I've been at it all day on Twitter with people about this. And this is my take on it is just the fact that he sucked as head coach, which he sucked, doesn't mean he's going to be a bad offensive coordinator because he was good offensive coordinator with the Titans. So he'll be going in with less stress and be able to do his job and not have to worry about the head coaching duties. Just like McDaniels. McDaniels sucks as a head coach, but he's a damn good OC.
He's a good OC in Bill Belichick's scheme.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Larry. Go ahead, Ricky. I know you got something. You're biting at the chop, I can tell.
Well, here's the problem that I have in Pittsburgh, right? They don't have a quarterback.
Keep going. There's more problems on that offense.
They don't have a running back. They have Harris, but right?
And Warren.
Warren, right? He's actually he actually had flashes this year, but I don't know, is Arthur Smith going to improve that offense that much? Who do they have as the receivers that can break down field, that can do those kind of things?
I believe they do have wideouts.
Yeah.
I do believe they have that.
They have
I'm
Pickens,
just saying,
Deontay Johnson.
Overall, I don't know how much of an impact he can have on that team with, to me, they lack a quarterback. It's as simple as that.
All right, so I look at it like this. Arthur Smith was a Titans offensive coordinator, and he had a very healthy Tannehill. He had healthy weapons around him. I believe one of those weapons is in Philadelphia now, Mr. Brown, if I'm correct here. He had him to throw to. He had a very healthy running back situation, a very bruising running back situation. Oh, yeah, by the way, little known fact, Tennessee had 2 all-pro tackles during this time as well before their careers broke down and they started getting hurt. It seems to me like the Steelers keep recycling these offensive coordinators that I've never been truly impressed with, and I have yet to see them really build an offensive scheme or create a quarterback in that system that's more than, say, a game manager or a really good backup. Yeah. Also, their offensive line is severely lacking in all phases. They drafted an offensive tackle this year. He's not looking like he was worthy of the pick. I've got serious concerns about the Pittsburgh Steelers in this hire today. Yeah, that's just me. I wasn't sure about it.
No, I feel the same way.
You can't say Roethlisberger wasn't a good quarterback because he was.
But he was good before he got there. That's my point. Yeah. He was already good. Yeah. Okay. He was good under Cowher. Name one quarterback that he's made.
I get you.
And I'm not saying that he's had a whole lot to work with, but dude, you got to do something by now. You've been there this 18 years. And like we talked about before, maybe it's time to take a moment and step back and reevaluate where you should be in your career. Go in the booth like Cowher. See if you like that for a little while. 17 years, you got nothing left to prove. You're going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. And I listen, I'm a big fan of Mike Tomlin. I think he's a hell of a football coach. But like you said, and we talked on it last week, we touched on it. Sometimes you just reach a shelf life. And to me, I think Tomlin's at that point with that team. It doesn't seem like he can take them to that next level. You know what I mean? Like they're always going to compete. They're always going to play hard. They're always going to be right there. But in these last several years, he just hasn't taken them to that next peak. You know what I mean? So maybe it might be time for him to.
There's also news in Denver. Denver's hired a couple of ex-Saints or soon-to-be ex-Saints. If you didn't know, they hired a front office scout that's coming into the team now. They hired a special offensive coordinator, assistant coach coming in. So we're going to see where this goes. Denver, clearly Sean Payton is running the show. I think the GM has sort of been told you're going to take guidance from this guy moving forward because you have not done such a great job leading in. A little bit of news out of Denver coming up. Chris says he will say it again. Baltimore, to me, they're like the Dallas Cowboys. We're going to get into this because they had a regular season, but I want to talk about this, and I guess that's what we'll talk about first.
Can we just back up?
Go ahead, Ricky. What do you got? Go ahead, Ricky.
Let's just back up 1 second. Let me ask you guys something. Don, you're in the know with Denver. Ronnie, is Russell Wilson back?
No, he's gone.
No,
he's gone, right?
No. Yeah.
Or is he gone now, or is he?
No, they can't cut him until the new season starts.
But he's not coming back, right?
No, he's gone.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then who's going to play quarterback for them?
They'll draft somebody, or maybe Kirk Cousins.
They're not drafting anybody. If what I've heard, they're going to bring in Mike. They're going to bring in Tannehill for 1 year.
Really?
That's what I keep hearing. Yeah.
He's going to be the stopgap for 1 year.
That's what I'm hearing is that Tannehill is going to be the stopgap for a year.
Wow.
I mean, look.
I don't want to touch too much on Denver, but I'll just say this. And again, if it's accurate what you're saying about Tannehill, well, why not just keep Russell Wilson?
Because Russell Wilson is $87 million over the next 2 years. You cut it.
But they got to pay him anyway, right?
Well, you cut it off this year and rip the Band-Aid off. Rip the Band-Aid off and be done.
Okay. All right.
That's what the Rams did last year with a bunch of players. They just
Yeah. I know.
You know.
I totally got it. I was just curious.
Tannehill.
I took the Chiefs in this game. Who else took the Chiefs in here?
I took the Chiefs.
It wasn't Ricky. Oh, you took Ravens. Are you sure? I'll go back and check the tape, pal.
Wait a minute. I'm throwing that red flag. Who did I take?
No, I think we all took the Chiefs.
I think so.
We all did.
I think we did. I think my heart wanted Baltimore.
Payton can't stand Russ. No, he can't. They do not get along. And Tannehill over Joe Flacco over Tannehill? No. I've already had the Joe Flacco experience. I don't need that acid flashback ever.
That's not even,
He had his moment.
Yeah.
He had his moment.
I think we all did take the Chiefs, but I don't know. I'm not sure. But
well, either way, I went 2-0 this weekend, and it felt pretty good. Even laid a little bit of money on it, so I feel pretty good. How this game came about, though, was shocking to me in every regard.
Yeah.
I don't know where to start with on this. The Kansas City Chiefs offense was absolutely abysmal for an entire half of this football game. They could do nothing right. And the Ravens ran 6 times with their running backs. Six times with their running backs. This was the most god-awful game plan I've ever seen out of Baltimore. Yep. Harbaugh needs to answer for this because they've changed offensive coordinators over and over again. Lamar was decent. He wasn't sacked a whole lot. He was running for his life. The offensive line gave him time. He scrambled a ton of times. I don't know that he had more than 4 designed runs, I think. I think the rest were scrambles or something along those lines.
Yeah.
I know he had the one big run where he probably could have scored a touchdown if he's not looking back scared to death. I think he would have scored on that run. I don't think the player had the speed to catch him. He should have tucked it, ran, but that's neither here nor there. The damn Chiefs looked absolutely abysmal in that second half. They didn't score a single point in the second half. Nobody's talking about that. Nobody's talking about the fact they only ran the ball 6 times in Baltimore with running backs. Nobody's talking about that other than Zay Flowers. There was nobody on the team, I believe, with more than 39 receiving yards. The Baltimore Ravens continue to do the same shit every year. They bring in bad receivers that are washed up and past their prime. They miss usually on their wide receivers in the draft. Anybody remember the guy named Bateman? Wasn't he in the game? Yeah. For 1 damn catch for 2 yards. Flowers looks like he's going to be a good slot receiver. Yeah. He's not built for the long game, in my opinion. He's a great great guy to have in the slot. This game was awful for me to watch because it just was ugly football for 2.5 quarters. Once the Ravens stopped that little screen game off to the side, Kansas City didn't have anything. I don't know what you guys saw. Ricky, what did you see?
All right, so I'll start by saying this. Andy Reid and the coaching staff of the Chiefs are hell of a coaches. I mean, they are just very good coaches. The coaches won that game. Andy Reid and their scheme, the scheme they had against Baltimore, they won that game. It was an ugly game. And you know what? We were like everybody was rooting for Baltimore just to get that one thing going, that one big play, that one touchdown, that one just to get it closer. And then Zay Flowers with that bonehead taunt, then that fumble. Now, fumbles happen. It's a part of the game, right? It's okay.
Yeah.
You could get over that. But that taunt, you can't do that. I mean, that's inexcusable. So that was 2 huge plays right there. The taunt, and they lost the 15 yards. They got the penalty. And then that turnover in the end zone, that fumble is just, I mean, that's huge. Listen, the poor kid's trying to make something happen. It's understandable. But, I got to be honest. I just thought that, like looking at the Chiefs and how they were scheming and playing, and they were sort of not spying on Lamar. They were letting him, but he couldn't break off that big play. Those big chunk plays. And Don, you said it exactly right. At the beginning of the year, I remember everyone talking about Baltimore. They needed to upgrade at receiver. They needed to upgrade to skill positions. And what do? They signed Beckham, and that was like the big thing. That guy's been shot for 5 years. He makes one play every 12 games. Other than that, I mean, it's really hard to win when you're deep in the playoffs, especially the the AFC Championship game, when you don't have skilled players that can make plays. Kansas City had a little bit more than Baltimore did, and that's what we saw Sunday.
Ron, I know where you're going, so go ahead and go there because your boy Siegel's already all over it. I know you're going to say it, so bring it up.
He just said the penalties. You can't have what was 4 unsportsmanlike conduct penalties, right?
Yeah.
4 or 5.
Yep. Yep.
That caused them.
Yeah.
Baltimore played like they weren't supposed to be there, and Kansas City played like they're supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And you hit it on the dot too with the run with the runs. They were averaging 22 carries a game. Then they dropped to freaking 6.
Yeah.
That's just
with running. They
stupid.
ran 16 times, but
Yeah.
2 were by Zay Flowers. 8 of them count against Lamar, but he was scrambling more than anything.
Just the running backs
Yes.
alone. And Edwards, his one only carry went for 15 yards. So
He
I
was
don't know how
non-existent. He was
he's
non-existent. Yeah, I mean, and the whole year, really, what took the load off of Lamar Jackson, what enabled him to be a more complete quarterback, was they took the load off of him. Yes, he had some nice games where he ran a lot, but they used Gus Edwards. They pounded the ball. They probably averaged 24 carries a game or something like that. So they just didn't. Yeah, 22. So they just didn't do it Sunday or, in this past game. And like I said, I think a lot of that has to do with being out-coached. And I think the scheme of Kansas City schemed that so that Baltimore couldn't even do that. Now, I will say, if you're Baltimore and if you're Harbaugh, you got to keep firing. Like, you got to keep doing it. You can't run two, three times and say, "Oh, we're going to stop." It doesn't. You got to keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And it seemed like they got away from their game plan. And by the end of the game, it was just too late.
And people blame Harbaugh. He's head coach, but he's not playing. He's not making the play calls to the.
Oh
offense.
yeah. I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying.
I know why Monken just got away from what they've been doing, because the runs were working. You got to run.
Yeah.
You got to run. Run protects the pass. Pass protects the run. Football 101.
I don't know if you guys noticed this, but did you see that Baltimore? They kept trying to go downfield.
The deep ball became an obsession in this game, and the second half. It was
Did you
we
guys
gotta
understand
throw deep. I
They
was
panicked.
wondering the same thing.
They panicked.
Why are you continuing to chuck it as far as you can
Yeah.
instead of staking what they're giving you? They were
That's-
trying to force the deep ball
Yeah.
over
They
and
panicked.
over
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
They panicked. That's why.
Yeah, Ronnie, I think you're exactly right. I think they panicked and they were trying to do something that's not who they are, and it didn't work. I don't think they hit on one deep pass.
Yeah,
They hit on
Flowers.
one to
The
Zay
first-
Flowers.
Or
And that was
one.
a-
I'm
yeah.
that was a
sorry.
penalty. Yeah.
One.
Yeah.
But like but that's not who they are, right? And
No.
and they got away from who they were all year. And you as you guys know, when you get to this time of the year in these kind of games, you got to stick to who you are. And what wins this time of the year is the lines. It's the play on the lines. And
I'm
if
glad you
win-
said that because I want to talk about this for a minute.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Kansas City's offensive line was getting its ass kicked for the entire game. That right
Yes.
tackle was a penalty waiting to happen.
Yeah.
There should have been at least 5 or 6 holding calls on that guy throughout the game.
Yeah.
Mahomes could not drop back and take time to throw the ball. They were bullying them, and that's where we got into it. They became bullies on the field, and for good reason. They were kicking their ass.
Yeah.
But then the one penalty where I said, that's ball game, you can't do that, was when he blitzed he came across the line and hit the right guard to get
Right.
the clock to stop with the penalty.
Right,
But he
got that-
absolutely blasted him
Yeah,
and got
yeah.
15 yards.
Yeah.
They went from the 25 to the 40-yard line in one play because you're
Yeah.
being a bonehead
Yeah.
and trying to go out there and show that you're tougher than the other guy. That's not smart football. That's not aggressive football. That's stupid football. When he did it, I said, now that's it. Kansas City's 1 first down away, and this thing is over. And I told my wife, I said, if they get a first down at the 2-minute warning, that's ball game. And what happened? One play. That was it. That's all they needed. Guy hadn't made a play all damn game. Valentez Scantling had 2 catches. One was for 32 yards, and the one that he caught for 32 yards was the one that put the game away because you let Mahomes have time in that pocket just a little bit. When you couldn't do it, you let him do it. I was impressed with Baltimore's defensive line. The interception that Lamar Jackson threw, you could tell he was pressing. He was scared I don't want to say he was scared, but you could tell he was pressing for the game at that point in time. Everybody screaming, oh, there should have been a flag there. You're not going to get a flag when you throw into 3 red jerseys and 1 purple one. That play was abysmal, and when it happened, I said, that's it. They're not winning this game. And then I think the next series is when they fumbled in the end zone. I was like, wow. It's just rolling down the hill. They can't stop the mistakes right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
Said.
Don, that's perfectly said. Look, if you look at a game like this, most games come down to the 3 basic things. It's penalties, 4, it's turnovers, and it's TOP, time of possession. If you look at this game, Baltimore held the ball for 22 minutes. Kansas City had it for roughly 37, almost 38.
Yeah, it was 37-22. It was insane.
Kansas City had 3 penalties for 30 yards. It didn't really hurt them. Baltimore had 7-8 for almost 195, something like that. And Baltimore turned the ball over 3 times. Kansas City 0. So with those 3 things in most games, you're
not going to win.
Man, and especially this time of the year, especially playing against a team like Kansas City, who, look, I'm going to be honest, I don't like them, and we talk, they are a well-coached team.
Stay out too late.
They're not going to beat themselves. That's the one thing about Kansas City. They're not going to beat themselves. And Don, if you ever sing Taylor Swift again, I'm never doing a fucking podcast with you ever again. This is my last show.
Oh, don't be a hater. She's going to be there every other show.
God
Enjoy
almighty.
it.
I want to
She might not be though. She might not be there for Super Bowl.
Get the hell out of here.
She's in Japan.
Okay, that show will be delayed.
Usher's going to come out and there's going to be a birthday cake. Guess who's popping out of that thing?
Oh God.
Fucking Taylor Swift is popping out of that thing.
Shake it off. Shake it off.
So look, this whole Taylor Swift thing. It's great. She's poppy. It's the NFL. But here's what pisses me off. Show
Everything.
other people.
Everything pisses you off.
Well, show other people's girlfriends. Show other people's wives. Show other people's
Why?
families.
They're not famous. She's one of the most famous people in the world. They're going to jump all over this. They're going to jump all over this. This is over, man. She's going to be on your screen in 2 weeks. Get ready. I can't wait. On to the NFC title.
You have such a crush on her. It's sad.
No, she's a star, and I know a star when I see one, and she is one. I don't know what to say about this game, guys, because this was over. This was over. It was 24-7 at halftime, and the 49ers couldn't stop a cold. I don't know what's happened with their defense, but it's non-existent right now against the ground game. It's just It's not there. I mean, they gave up 182 yards in this game. It's been shitty all year. We talked about this. Well, I think I did on another show where be careful that the Niners don't take a step back next year because they've lost so many front office and personnel folks, right? They just have. I mean, I know, Ron, you're sort of like, no, that can't happen. Look at the damn Rams. The Rams have struggled to get back into their winning ways because of the same thing. They keep getting pilfered for their coaching and their damn front office. You can't just replace those guys. You just can't. Right? The Lions have lost nobody, so they're going to be in a pretty good position next year. And the Lions were doing some Lions things. I agree. The second half was like a different ball game with the Lions. They started making stupid plays. They were just fourth down happy all of a sudden. Like, guys, I get it, but when you're up big, take the points. Those 6 points and you win the game. They gave up 2 field goals in the second half that would have won the game for them. Jared Goff came crashing back down to earth in the second half. David Montgomery was running wild. I don't know why they got away from giving it to Montgomery and Gibbs. Those guys were running all over this team.
Yeah.
Neither one of them ran for more than 16 yards in a carry. They were popping off 8 yards at a shot. Yeah. This was the most ridiculous second half game plan I've seen. Like, what were they thinking, man? You've got the game in the bag, and you suddenly get away from everything that was. They thought Goff was Tom Brady. He started slinging it all over the field, man. I didn't get it. Yes, it was on Patrick Pucci's fantasy show. You are correct, Siegel.
You know what? The biggest takeaway, and Don, you just hit on it. The biggest takeaway that I had was the Lions got away from the run, and they got 2 stud running backs. I mean, Gibbs is a madman. He is. And when you're running the ball like that, and your offensive line is blocking like that, and they took the San Francisco's soul. I mean, they were owning them.
They really did.
They were just beating them up. I mean, that was just we're going to give our running backs the ball, and we're just going to pound you. I can't believe, and I know there's always events in a game that change things, and I get all that, but to go away from what you're doing, I was very surprised.
They just abandoned it. They just abandoned it.
I don't really have much else to say. Look, I can live with Dan Campbell gambling, making some decisions. I can live with that because his mindset is this got us here. So I'm okay with that. Whether it was successful, it failed, whatever. I'm okay with that. But if I'm a Lions fan or just a football fan, all of us watch the game. You're thinking to yourself, you're dominating. I mean, Don, you talked about it. San Fran's defense, the Vaughn defense, Fred Warner, all these players, Bosa, they dominated them with the run. They got 2 guys. And then in the second half, it was like, oh, wait a minute. Let's outsmart ourselves. Let's try and do something else. With Jared Goff, who I've been saying it all year, and I've always said it, he's a nice quarterback. But you can't put the game in his hands.
And yes, Gibbs did have a fumble, but they were still up at the half big. Like, I get that.
You're up at the half 24/7. I mean, come on. You can't go away from the success you were having, carry it over to the next half and just keep grinding and grinding. Listen, if they would have stayed with it by the fourth quarter, they would have had San Francisco wore out. But I don't know. I mean, that's my take. And that to me is what eventually you gave San Francisco some life. They took advantage of it, and That was
just
it.
throwing the ball on 4th and 2 when you're running it down their throat is just that's still bothering me. And when they
No,
would run it on
I,
1st down and get 2 or 3 yards, they'd be like, "Well, give up on the run and pass it the next couple of plays."
Donnie,
Like, what are you doing?
I
Go ahead, Ron. I know you got something for this.
I can't
I know
argue
you're
it.
dying.
yeah.
All right. So I was pissed at those 4th down calls, and I started thinking today.
Nope.
Ronnie.
There you go.
Still upset. God damn it.
Oh, Ron has decided he's going to leave the podcast. We'll be back in a minute with Ron, ladies and gentlemen.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you. Go ahead, buddy.
We could see you and we could hear you.
Oh, it's freaking phone calls.
It's like the last episode of The Sopranos.
Yeah. Dan Campbell made those calls, but there's also 2 bad drops that should have been caught.
Yeah.
So if they were now this is what if they would have caught those balls and scored touchdowns, the narrative would have been different, big time different. But they didn't. But they should have ran the ball too, like you said, Don. They got out of their own game plan.
You're passing it on 4th and 2 when you've got 180 yards running. You're at the 28-yard line. You're on their side of the field twice and go for it on bad 4th down play calls. Instead of just taking the points, they were 1 for 3 on 4th downs. 1 for 3. And God, why? Because look, the truth is the Niners for 2 weeks have looked completely out of sorts as a team to start the game. This is for a team that could not come back in the 4th down. I mean, in the second half. Shanahan was known for not being able to come back in the second half.
Right.
This is 2 huge playoff games where he's done exactly that and shut that noise down. No one say another word about it.
Listen, Purdy, he's an average quarterback. I don't care what anyone says.
Cowboy. Easy, cowboy.
You could listen. I don't care what anyone says. He's an average quarterback. Average. But
I say he's top 11.
All right. Well, that's for a different show.
He's got weapons. I can't deny that. He's got weapons galore. Like, it's insane how many weapons this team has. It's crazy how well John Lynch has put this together. And he got criticized for taking the job. They were like, why are you giving this job to him? He's never had this before. Because he's a Stanford graduate. He's a smart guy. He studied business.
He's a smart man. Yeah, he was a smart player in Tampa Bay. You know, I'll tell you what, San Francisco, when they picked up Christian McCaffrey, that really put them over.
Game changer. Game changer.
I mean, that guy is a game changer. And he just makes it. He makes that team go. And you know, it's you know, like I said, he makes Purdy's job easier. And they got really good wide receivers. One thing I really like about San Francisco's offense is I love how they utilize the tight end. I love it. It reminds me of the old days. It reminds me
the fullback. And the fullback. They got a fullback.
I meant the fullback. I'm sorry, and the tight end, but I meant the fullback. It reminds me of the old days with Tom Rathman and Brett Clark.
Breaking news! News!
I just saw that too.
Houston's offensive coordinator just agreed to a new deal to stay in Houston with more money. So continue on. Sorry that just broke.
No,
I just saw that too.
Listen, that's way more important.
So can I finish some stuff up here?
Yeah, go ahead.
So now people know why Goff got traded. No.
Yeah.
Because that's Goff. He turned into Goff. And then with the Niners, Purdy looked below average whole first half.
I totally agree.
He below first average. And then I got eat some crow here because I made comments about he can't play from behind because he's shown in games against Baltimore and Cleveland he can't play from behind. He throws stupid passes and stuff. But somehow in the locker room at halftime, I don't know if they drank that juice like from the basketball movie, that secret juice made all the basketball players better.
Oh, I know you're talking about. Yes,
you talking about the pickle juice?
He must have drank some of that juice because he more to the freaking Steve Young in Montana in the second half. Dude was freaking just scrambling his ass off, and they had no. Yeah.
Now look, Purdy plays with guts, and he can hit football throws. I'm not taking nothing away from him, but
Well, he can hit helmets. The ball bounced off helmet into the receiver's hand too.
Yeah.
So
Look, the thing is, Debo Samuel in the second half became an absolute monster.
Yeah.
He was suddenly everywhere. He looked like Debo Samuel of old. People don't realize Debo Samuel is not some slight 190-pound wide receiver. That guy's like 210, 220. He's a big dude. When he hits you, it's not fun. I don't care if you're a linebacker or a safety. When he gets there, you're going to know he was there.
Oh, yeah.
Detroit has got to answer some questions in the offseason.
Yeah.
Number one, why did we get away from what we were doing in this game? Why did we stop doing what we were doing? Why did we suddenly decide we got to start throwing the ball over the field in the second half? Why didn't we stick to what was running? Crossings over the middle. They weren't covering that worth of shit the whole game. St. Brown was running loose. They had no answer for him in that slot for an entire half. That dude was everywhere and nowhere at once. It was crazy. I picked San Francisco, guys, to start the year, Super Bowl. That was my team.
Yeah,
I said they'd be there.
Wait, didn't we all say that? I know I did. I know you did.
I said Detroit.
Did you? Okay. All right.
I mean, that ain't bad. Had two of them in there. I had the Jets because I thought Aaron Rodgers could play more than 3 snaps and not break his goddamn Achilles. My bad in thinking that. So
I remember that show like it was yesterday when we had to go on the air and talk about that.
It's going to be a hell of a Super Bowl. There's a few things I want to talk about before we get to that. And Debo might be the strongest wide receiver in the game. For real, pound for pound, he might be. There's another big game this weekend, if you guys didn't know.
East-West Shrine game.
No, the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
They started naming all the alternates today. I was so excited because that shit has gone to hell. Can we cancel the Pro Bowl? Even the fans are like, dude, I don't care. If you want to show me the Pro Bowl, show me all the old skills competitions that they used to do. Give me those long throws. Give me those accurate games. Put that in prime time at the 8 o'clock. I don't care if you record it during the day. I don't care. Show it in prime time so it flows real fast. If I was producing the Pro Bowl, that's exactly what I would do. I would have the fastest man alive 40-yard dash. I would have them compensated to where if they get hurt, they are absolutely covered by the NFL. They make enough money. Give me the accuracy throws. Give me the long ball throws in Honolulu. Make it a place where the players want to go again. Give me the cover corner stuff that I want to see again. Those were the things that when I was a kid, I loved watching the Pro Bowl. Yeah. When I saw Warren Moon throw it 74 yards, my jaw dropped. I was like, he can throw it that far? That's 3/4 of a football field. That's crazy to me. Ron, you've been watching the Pro Bowl a long time. I haven't watched it in years. What would you change about it? What would you do to make the Pro Bowl better? Because it sucks right now.
Everything you just said. I do like the flag football aspect.
I don't like that. You know why? There's too many injury risks to me when you play flag football. There's way too many. When you're playing flag football and you're trying to juke and jive, dude, your knee is one bad decision away from just being gone. I hate the flag football. I hate it.
Yeah.
Ricky?
I think it's just basically a free trip to Hawaii for the players.
That's fine. But don't put them in a, quote, competitive game. That
I
means
agree.
jack all.
I can't believe that they haven't found a different way to do it either.
Well, they have like receivers contests for best catch and shit like that.
I think maybe they need to
a little bit. I think they have a quarterbacks drill too. If I remember last year, but it's not the same as
do it like the NBA does or the NHL with like a skill, or even baseball, how they have the home run. Like do something that,
Larry says let them play frisbee golf.
Let them play Madden. Yep. Yeah.
Actually, you know what? Come to think about it, that wouldn't be a bad idea if they change it up. Instead of doing football, why don't you have like 5-on-5 basketball and have
because of injuries. Yeah, injuries, man.
I know. Yeah.
That's why I say like have the 40-yard dash, have stuff like that where it put the injury risk on it. Like if you get hurt, your contract is fully guaranteed and go from there. Just my opinion. I do look forward to the Senior Bowl every year. Not sure if you guys knew that was coming up this weekend, the Senior Bowl.
No, is the Senior Bowl or East-West Shrine?
Senior Bowl, February 3rd.
Okay, so then the East-West is after that.
I look forward to this game every year because there's always a star or two in this thing that you can find out. I read today, just for all of you NFL football draft nerds out there are as many, and John says both games are actually this weekend. So I just know about the Senior Bowl. That's the one I watch every year.
Yeah.
They say there are 9 potential draft picks in this game this weekend,
Wow.
and as many as 12.
Hmm.
Penix is in it. Bo Nix is in it. They've got the offensive tackle from Oklahoma State and Oklahoma in it.
Wow.
Oklahoma State's offensive tackle might be a top 3 offensive tackle when it's all said and done. So for all of you guys out there that watch the draft as hard as I do, that watch the offseason and study it, this is one of those moments where start watching the reports coming out of the Senior Bowl because they started practice today, and they're going to tell you everything you need to know. By the way, the wide receiver out of South Carolina, Ricky, getting a lot of noise right now coming into this thing. He's getting a lot of hype. I'm not sure if you've seen that or not.
No.
Yeah, the South Carolina wide receiver, they're saying when this is all said and done, he's going to have some heads turned looking his way come draft day.
Is he creeping into round 1? Is that type of heads turning? Or
I don't know if he's going to creep in, but they're definitely saying he was going to take notice in the NFL before it's all said and done. He will not fall out of the second. I can guarantee you that from what I'm reading.
You know what, guys? I'll tell you what. I'm glad you brought up the draft. I think that this is going to be a really interesting offseason, a really interesting draft. There's a lot of really good players. I can't wait to see how the chips fall with all these teams. You know, for weeks we've been talking about it. What's going to happen in Chicago, Washington? Where's Caleb going to go? Where's Bo Nix going to go? Is he going to be drafted in the first round? Penix. I think it's going to be a really interesting draft to see where these young men, go.
Big Lou is excited to see the Puppy Bowl coming up. I have no words. I have no words.
Hey guys, there's one thing I did want to ask you. I don't know if we touched on it, but I want to ask this before the show goes. What do you guys think about New England making Mayo their head coach?
Oh yeah, that was surprising to me. But apparently, this has been a done deal behind the scenes for a while. Like they had every intention to hire him. Go ahead, Rob.
That was when last year when he was looking for getting interviews for head coaching jobs, he came back as on the coaching staff. It was written in his contract that once Belichick stepped down, that he'd be the next head coach.
All right. That makes sense.
So I think it's a good hire because
I think so too.
A little bit of Belichick, but he'll actually be able to relate to the younger players and stuff.
Oh yeah, he'll have what's called a personality behind the scenes.
Well, no, I think it's a good hire. I do. I think it's a good hire, and give him a shot. He's been under the Belichick tree for a couple of years. He's been part of the Patriots family. I think it's good. Maybe he could turn. Hey, maybe he can get something out of Mac Jones that Belichick couldn't. Who knows?
Yeah, like not a fifth-year option and a trade bait. Chris says he's surprised Josh McDaniels wasn't considered. I'm not. You can't have two bad head coaching stints like that. His head coaching career is over. It'll never happen again.
I don't know if it's over, but I think
over. You want me to get a shovel? Because I'll bury that bitch in my backyard.
I'll help you. I will help you.
Medusa's coaching career and bury that shit.
I will fly out. I'll fly out to Virginia to help you.
Let me ask you guys something. You guys are knowledgeable. I mean, you guys know football. Why hasn't, and we're talking about coaches here, why hasn't Deuce Staley been given a chance? Do you guys have any opinions on that? Or
I think he's a decent coach, but I don't hear any noise about he's got some crazy offensive philosophies. I haven't heard that he's got this crazy play schemes. I haven't heard that he's put a whole lot in there. It's just what it is.
Okay.
John says my backyard is full of graveyards. Yeah, I got a couple of skeletons out there, pal. Trust me. So I'm looking forward for the next couple of weeks. We're gonna talk some draft. It's coming up. Yeah. I'm not gonna give up my Super Bowl pick yet. I got a few things I want to look at. I got a few things. I got to see what that injury report looks like.
Yeah.
What I'm seeing so far, the Chiefs, it's really not looking good. Like it's looking bad for the Chiefs on that defense right now. They got some serious concerns.
Yeah, because they're old linemen or one of the tackles, Olamane, towards ACL.
Yeah.
I think Bosa is chomping at the bit.
We'll get into that next week.
We'll
can't wait to talk about it.
Don, I'm glad that you said that. I wasn't ready to make my picks either tonight. So
no,
I'm gonna wait.
I'm looking forward to next week.
Yeah, absolutely.
I did have one more thing. Ron, are you about to start hating the Falcons like Block Larry is?
Hating? No. They'll be my team to root for. That's
And
that's
yes,
that's the Atlanta Rams right now, brother.
right now, yes,
Shoot.
San Francisco, I believe, is favored by I think 2.5 points heading to the Super Bowl. So I'm looking forward to it. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, like and subscribe. We will see you next week.
That